You hit every target. You earned the title. You handled the crisis nobody else could handle. So, why does it still feel like you are one mistake away from being exposed? If that question lands, stay with me a few minutes. It's not about doing less, it's about something underneath the doing. In fact, there's a name for this: the insecure overachiever. Someone who is exceptionally capable, genuinely driven, and running the entire time on a quiet belief that they are not enough without their output. From the outside, it looks like excellence. From the inside, it feels like a debt that never clears. Here's the part I want you most to hear: this is not a workload problem, it is an identity structure. Underneath the overcommitment sits a single equation: you are worth what you produce. That is why doing less never fixes it. A workload problem gets solved by clearing your plate. An identity problem does not, because clearing your plate threatens the very thing your worth is standing on. You have not been managing a schedule, you have been maintaining a self. I know this from the inside. I collected the proof fast in my life. 3 degrees, top of my sales territory, 3 years running, a six-figure track before I turned 23. It looked like someone who had it all figured out. But inside, no achievement ever felt like enough for me. Each one bought a few hours of quiet, and then the bar moved. I was not managing my ambition. I was feeding a self that would fall apart the moment I stopped producing. Once you see the equation, something actually clarifies. A lot of what we treat as separate problems are really this one structure showing up in different places. It becomes a behavior, a feeling, and a voice. The behavior is people pleasing. If your worth is transactional, my friend, saying no feels like withdrawing your value. So you overgive and absorb what was never yours to carry. The feeling is imposter syndrome. Worth built on output is never secure, right? So the fear of being exposed is just what it feels like to stand on ground that could easily give away. And the voice is self criticism, the inner critic that discounts every win and moves the bar because a self that runs on output cannot afford to rest. That is why treating any one of them alone does not hold. Set better boundaries, and the critic gets louder. Quiet the critic, and the imposter feeling surfaces. The branch keeps growing back because the root is still there. So, where does the root come from? In my experience, it's usually from an environment, earlier professional, where safety felt earned rather than given. Produce and you keep your place. Stop and you lose it. Your nervous system built a self it thought would be safe, one made entirely of output. So, how do you change it? You do not change it, by the way, by doing less. You change it by disassembling the equation. As long as your worth equals output, an empty plate just becomes more room to prove yourself. The real work is moving the anchor of your worth to something a single result cannot touch. In the work I do, we start with the self-abandonment scorecard, which measures how consistently you override your own internal signals in favor of external proof. Most people score higher than they expected, not because they're broken, but because this pattern is so normalized, it reads as professionalism. You cannot rebuild a structure you cannot see. So start by seeing it. The next time you finish something and feel the pull to immediately reach for the next thing, pause and notice what you believe will happen if you stop. That belief is the equation talking. You do not have to obey it. You only have to catch it. Because every time you see it clearly, it loses a little of its hold. The goal, by the way, is not to stop achieving. That's ridiculous. The goal is to achieve from a grounded center instead of from a wound that keeps saying you're not enough. You are valuable, even on the days you produce nothing. I know that is hard to believe, but believing, that's the work. So if this resonated, the Self Trust Society is where we go deeper. $5 a month, Link in the show notes below.